I never thought silence could feel this loud. The office was nearly empty, the hum of the air conditioner rattling in the ceiling, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like they were keeping secrets. Most people had already gone home. I should have gone home too. But I stayed, pretending to finish the same spreadsheet I'd been staring at for 20 minutes, just to have another 5 minutes near her. Her. Elena. She was my manager, mid-40s, the kind of composed that made every room shrink around her. Dark hair pulled back, a sharp blouse that somehow never wrinkled, voice steady even when she was tearing apart a client's contract with the precision of a surgeon. The first week I met her, I kept catching myself sitting straighter whenever she walked past, like her presence alone demanded something better out of me. Tonight though, she wasn't untouchable. She looked tired. Her jacket had slipped off her chair, her shoes were kicked under the desk. She rubbed her temples with both hands, then let them fall, resting her palms flat on the desk like she was bracing herself. For once, she didn't notice me watching. "Shouldn't you be out of here by now?" she asked finally, not lifting her head. I cleared my throat, fumbled for an excuse. "Almost done. Just fixing a formula." I wasn't. But I didn't want to leave. Not yet. Her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You've been fixing that formula for half an hour." Heat climbed the back of my neck. She caught me. But instead of pressing, she leaned back, arms crossing loosely over her chest. Her blouse slipped just enough at the collar to show the faintest chain of a necklace. It made my throat tighten. I forced myself to look at my screen. She stood suddenly, walking across the room. The sound of her heels against the carpet stopped right behind me. I froze. My mouse hovered over a cell in Excel like I had forgotten what computers even were. "You work too hard," she said softly, too close. I glanced back, and her eyes were on me. Not in a professional way, not like a manager making sure her employee wasn't screwing up numbers. No, her gaze lingered. Searching. My chest tightened. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but she spoke again before I could. "You remind me of," she stopped herself, pressing her lips together, shaking her head. "Never mind." The words hung between us. She turned quickly, as if embarrassed by the slip, but I caught it, her hand tightening around the back of her chair, the kind of grip people use when they're trying to hold in something heavier than they should. I wanted to ask. I wanted to push. But my voice caught, and all I managed was, "Elena." That made her turn again. For a second, the room felt too small. She looked at me differently now, less guarded, less boss, more, something else. My pulse thudded in my ears. Then she crossed the room. Slowly. She closed the office door with one deliberate motion, the soft click echoing like a secret sealing itself. She stayed there, hand still on the door, back to me. When she spoke, her voice wasn't managerial, wasn't casual, it was quiet, almost breaking. "I need you right now." The air thickened. My chair felt too small, my body too big. I stood without meaning to, every nerve firing at once. Before I could answer, my phone lit up on the desk. A text flashed across the screen, glowing in the dim light. I saw her eyes flick down to it, then back to me. Neither of us moved, the phone buzzed again, but neither of us reached for it. The glow from the screen felt like it was cutting into the silence, daring me to break it. I didn't. She finally moved, stepping back toward her desk, reclaiming the chair as if the door had never been shut. The shift in her face was almost surgical, composure layered back on, boss mode flicked into place. But I'd already seen the slip, the crack in the armor. "You should answer that," she said, tapping her pen against the desk. "It's nothing," I muttered, sliding the phone face down. She gave a short laugh, though it didn't sound like amusement. More like disbelief. Nothing never calls twice. I wanted to ask her the same thing, what did she mean by needing me? But the words tangled. Instead, I blurted the first thing that came out. Are you, okay? Her eyes flicked up, sharp, surprised. Like no one asked her that often. Or maybe like it had been too long since someone asked and meant it. She opened her mouth, then closed it, studying me with a stillness that made me sweat under the collar of my cheap button-down. I was married once, she said suddenly. The words fell heavy, no introduction. A long time ago. I froze. She'd never told me anything personal before, not about family, not about herself. Just work, deadlines, the occasional weather complaint. What happened? The question slipped out before I could stop it. She tilted her head, lips pressing into a thin line. He found someone younger. Funnier. Less difficult. Her fingers traced the edge of a file on the desk, as though the paper might anchor her. I guess everyone trades in eventually. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that nobody could trade in what she carried, the sharpness, the fire, the way she walked into a room and made it feel awake. But I didn't. My throat locked around the words. So I gave her my own truth instead. I've never had anything serious. Not really. She arched a brow. You're what, 24? 23, I corrected, a little too quickly. The corner of her mouth twitched. Exactly. You've got time. But it wasn't time I wanted. It was this, her. And I hated how obvious I must have sounded when I said, quieter, that doesn't mean it's easier. Something passed over her face then, something soft but dangerous. She looked away, straightening a stack of papers that didn't need straightening. This, she began, then stopped. Her hand stilled on the desk. This isn't simple. I swallowed, heat running down my spine. The words I didn't say screamed anyway, I don't care. She must have heard them in the silence, because her shoulders tensed. And then, before either of us could second guess it, she reached across the desk. Her hand brushed mine, just a fraction too long to be accidental. Warm. Steady. Real. Neither of us pulled back, her hand stayed on mine longer than it should have. Long enough to make my pulse thud through my fingertips. I should have pulled away. She should have too. Instead, her eyes found mine, and for a moment, everything in the office blurred, the papers, the buzzing lights, the glass wall looking out into the hallway. We were leaning in without meaning to. Just inches now. Her breath caught, and I swore I could feel the warmth of it against my lips. A sharp knock rattled the door. We both jolted back, hands snapping apart like we'd been burned. She cleared her throat, straightening in her chair so fast the pen in her hand clattered to the desk. Come in, she said, voice cool, steady, practiced. The door cracked open. It was Maya, one of the assistants, wide-eyed and apologetic. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Just, the client call you scheduled got moved to tomorrow. I emailed you. Elena nodded briskly. Got it. Thank you. Maya lingered a second too long, eyes flicking between us. I sat rigid at my desk, trying not to look guilty, trying not to look like I just almost kissed my boss. Good night, Maya said finally, her tone slow, pointed. When the door clicked shut again, the silence was heavier than before. Elena exhaled hard, rubbing her temple. This is exactly why, she muttered under her breath. Why what? I asked, my voice lower than I meant it to be. Why this can't, she stopped herself, shaking her head. You don't understand. You're young. You can walk out of here tonight and forget this ever happened. Forget? I couldn't. My skin still burned where her hand had touched mine. I don't want to forget, I said. That made her look at me, really look at me. Something in her expression wavered, cracked again, before she stood abruptly and crossed to the window. Outside, the parking lot lights glowed over empty cars. Her reflection in the glass looked smaller, lonelier. You remind me of someone, she said quietly. Not my ex. Before him. The boy I should have stayed with. But I was too proud. Too scared. She pressed her hand to the window as if she could reach through it. He would be your age now. The confession twisted in my chest, regret spilling out of her in ways she couldn't take back. I stood too, almost without thinking. Elena, she turned, and in the reflection of the glass I saw her face, torn between pushing me away and letting herself fall. The distance between us collapsed again. Her hand lifted, then stopped midway, trembling in the air like she didn't know if it belonged to her anymore. And then, her phone buzzed sharply on the desk. The screen lit up with a name I shouldn't have seen. Mark, husband. I blinked. My stomach dropped. She lunged for the phone, turning it over, pressing it face down. Her hands shook, just barely, but enough. We locked eyes, the truth crashing into the space between us. This is wrong, she whispered. But she didn't move away, the word husband sat in my chest like a stone. I wanted to ask her, why didn't you say, but my throat locked. She avoided my eyes, staring down at her phone as though if she kept it face down long enough, the truth would stay buried. Finally, she said, low, sharp, you shouldn't have seen that. You shouldn't be hiding it, I shot back before I could stop myself. Her head snapped up. The air between us tightened. She was the boss again, spine straight, gaze hard, but it was cracking, I could see it. I didn't hide it, she said, voice clipped. I just didn't tell you. There's a difference. I laughed once, bitter. Feels the same from here. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she pressed both hands flat on the desk, leaning forward like she was holding herself together by sheer will. Do you have any idea what this would cost me? If anyone, saw us like this? I can't, her voice trailed off, trembling at the edges. It hit me then, this wasn't just about rules or scandal. She was afraid. Afraid of being seen wanting something she wasn't supposed to. And still, I couldn't let it go. Then why close the door? Why say you needed me? Her breath caught. She straightened, folding her arms as if that might shield her. Because I was weak for 1 second. Don't make it more than that. But I'd seen too much. I couldn't unknow the way her hand had lingered on mine, the way her eyes searched me like she was starved. You don't say things like that by accident, I said. Something snapped in her then. She strode across the room, stopping right in front of me. Too close. Her jaw was tight, but her eyes betrayed everything she was trying to cage. You think you know what you're doing, she whispered. You're 23. I've lived a lifetime already. You don't understand what it means to want something you can't have. Her words were sharp, but her voice cracked in the middle. And in that crack, I stepped closer. My chest brushed hers, barely, but enough to make her inhale sharply. I know exactly what it means, I said. My hands curled into fists at my sides. If I touched her, if I gave in, there'd be no turning back. Her lips parted, like she wanted to argue, but the fight didn't come. Instead, her gaze dropped to my mouth, just for a second. That was all it took. The room spun tighter, smaller. I leaned in without meaning to, the space between us burning down to inches. Her breath trembled against mine. And then, her phone lit up again. This time, it didn't buzz quietly. It rang. Loud. Jarring. The name Mark flashing in bold white letters across the screen. She flinched. My heart slammed. Neither of us moved. The phone kept ringing, shrill and endless, until Elena snatched it off the desk. She didn't answer. Just pressed decline and dropped it into her bag like it was poison. Her hands trembled. He wasn't supposed to call, she whispered. I blinked. What do you mean, wasn't supposed to? Her eyes flicked up to mine, guilt flooding them. She hesitated, then said, we don't live together. Not anymore. It's complicated. You told me, I stopped. No, she hadn't told me anything. I'd assumed. She'd let me assume. You're separated. My voice cracked, too loud in the still office. Her shoulders sagged, like the weight of it was finally pressing her down. I filed last year. He won't sign. He keeps calling, showing up, reminding me I still belong to him on paper. And if the firm finds out? If anyone, she shook her head. My career would be over. He'd make sure of it. The floor seemed to tilt under me. I wasn't just flirting with a forbidden crush, I was standing in the middle of a battlefield I hadn't known existed. You should have told me, I said, quieter now. I know. Her eyes softened, pleading. But then you wouldn't have stayed. That cut deeper than I expected. I looked at her, this woman who had always seemed untouchable, and realized how much she had hidden, how carefully she'd built her walls. And still, she had opened the door to me. Before I could answer, voices echoed faintly in the hall. Footsteps. Elena stiffened. Who's still here? We both turned. Through the frosted glass, a shadow paused just outside her office. Not moving. Listening. My pulse spiked. Elena, I started, but the door handle rattled. She darted forward, yanking it open before whoever it was could try again. And standing there, frozen, wide-eyed, was Maya. The assistant. The one who had accidentally interrupted earlier. Her gaze darted between us. My too close stance. Elena's flushed face. The shut door. She didn't need words. Maya, it's not, Elena began, but her voice faltered. Maya's jaw tightened. I should go. Her voice was clipped, cold, so different from her usual nervous politeness. She turned on her heel, walking fast down the hall. Elena's face drained of color. She pressed the door shut and leaned against it, her breath shallow. She saw, she whispered. Maybe she didn't, she saw. Her eyes shut tight. God, what have I done? I stepped closer, but she held up a hand, keeping me away. Her fingers shook in the air. Don't. If she tells anyone, if he finds out, the weight of it hit me all at once, we weren't just risking whispers anymore. We were risking exposure. But even as she said it, her hand didn't drop. It hovered between us, suspended, like she wanted me to take it anyway. I did. And this time, she didn't pull away. Elena's hand trembled in mine, but she didn't let go. Not this time. The quiet of the office pressed around us, thick with everything unspoken, Maya's shadow in the hall, her husband's name still glowing in my memory, the impossibility of this whole thing. Her voice was barely a whisper. This is going to ruin me. I swallowed. And me. The truth hung there. We both knew it. Neither of us had much to lose in the same way, but still, I'd lose her. She'd lose everything she'd spent decades building. You should walk away, she said finally. Her fingers squeezed mine once, then tried to pull back. I didn't let her. Do you want me to? Her breath caught. Her eyes flicked to mine, angry, desperate, aching. Don't do that. Don't put it on me. I'm not, I said, my voice shaking more than I wanted. I'm just. I can't pretend I don't care about you. I don't want to. Something broke in her expression then, a crack she couldn't patch this time. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the faint citrus of her perfume, close enough that her forehead almost brushed my chin. I've spent half my life doing the right thing, she whispered. And look where it left me. Alone. Invisible. Waiting for someone to notice I still exist. I didn't think. I just cupped her face in both hands, gentle, trembling. I see you. Her eyes closed, like the words hurt more than anything else I could have said. And then she kissed me. It wasn't soft or cautious, it was messy, desperate, like every second we'd spent holding back crashed into that one moment. Her hands gripped my shirt, pulling me in, and I kissed her back like I'd been waiting forever. When she finally pulled away, her breath was ragged. Tears shimmered at the corners of her eyes, though she tried to blink them back. This doesn't fix anything, she said, voice shaking. Tomorrow, it'll all come crashing down. Maya knows. Mark's not gone. The world doesn't care what we want. I nodded, throat tight. Then let's not think about tomorrow. Her laugh broke halfway into a sob. She leaned her forehead against mine, shaking her head. You're too young to know how reckless that is. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just not scared enough to stop. She closed her eyes. For a moment, it felt like the world tilted, holding us in a fragile balance. And then, she stepped back. Just one step, but it felt like a canyon. Her hand slipped from mine. We can't promise each other forever, she said softly. But, we can have right now. I nodded, my chest tight, my heart breaking open. Neither of us moved toward the door. Neither of us moved away. The office was still. Waiting, the office felt different after she said it. Right now. It wasn't just about stolen touches or the kiss that still burned on my lips. It was about choosing to exist in this fragile space, knowing the rest of the world could come crashing in any second. We didn't move for a long time. Just stood there, the hum of the fluorescent lights filling in all the words we couldn't say. Finally, Elena spoke, her voice quieter than I'd ever heard it. Maya knows. That means others will know soon. I nodded, throat tight. And Mark? Her jaw tensed. He'll make it ugly. He always does. There it was, the fear I could never erase for her. I wanted to promise I'd protect her, that I'd fight anyone who tried to hurt her. But promises like that were easy, and life wasn't. So instead I said the only thing that mattered, then let's not give him the power to decide what we are. Her eyes searched mine, the weight of years and scars flickering behind them. And for the first time since I'd met her, she didn't look like my boss. She didn't look untouchable. She looked like a woman standing at the edge of something terrifying and alive. You're so damn young, she whispered, a broken smile tugging at her mouth. I smiled back. And you're not as old as you think. She laughed then, short and shaky, but real. And in that laugh, I felt the walls between us collapse for good. She reached out, sliding her hand into mine, not furtive, not stolen this time. Just hers and mine, simple and steady. What happens now? I asked. Her thumb brushed my knuckles, a soft, uncertain gesture. We figure it out. Day by day. Maybe it lasts, maybe it doesn't. But, she exhaled. At least it's real. And that was enough. More than enough. We left the office together that night, her hand never leaving mine. The hallway was dark, the world outside too big and waiting, but for once I didn't feel like the kid following behind. We walked side by side, like equals stepping into something neither of us could predict. Maybe tomorrow would bring whispers, accusations, a mess neither of us could control. But tonight we had chosen each other. And that choice felt like the beginning of something neither of us would ever forget. Speech Balloon, did you enjoy the story? Red Heart, what kind of stories would you like to hear next?